Why is manifesting so hard? I'm not going to lie. Manifesting can be really hard for so many people. But why? Why is it that you think you're doing all the right things and still nothing is happening? Your life is the same as it's always been. There are no large streams of income pouring in. You're still single. Life is pretty much the same as always. And even though you're doing all the things you believed would bring about a change in your current reality. So, where did you go wrong? My name's Kalia, and today I'm going to talk to you about manifestation fatigue. Yes, that's a thing. Why aren't people having the results they want? I've been there. I know what it feels like to do all the things for a good 3 months when I should really be starting to notice a change, and yet nothing's happening. Life pretty much goes on as usual. The first thing most people ask after a period of time focused on the thing that you want to create in your life is, what am I doing wrong? Well, I feel it's important to tell you not to assume that you're doing something wrong. Don't go there. Don't go to the place where you're thinking, well, manifestation works for some people, but not for me. It's done unto you as you believe. You're already manifesting. Your current reality is a product of manifesting, even if it's not intentional or desired. Your current reality is still the product of the thoughts, beliefs, and feelings you've entertained in the past. And if you started to wake up to what you are thinking, feeling, and believing, and making some changes, shouldn't you be seeing the results of your new mindset by now? Sometimes it's a slower process than you think it should be. You might be on YouTube listening to someone talking about how they changed their circumstances overnight. Sometimes this happens. Sometimes we can change our circumstances overnight, but sometimes it takes a whole lot longer. When a woman's pregnant, it takes 9 months before the baby arrives. When someone starts a new business, it could take a couple of years before it goes from inception to success. It may not happen in 3 months. Does this mean that you're not doing it right? No, it doesn't. There are so many factors at play here when it comes to manifestation. And I feel it's so important that you don't give up, believing that it's not working for you. There are always things going on behind the scenes that you're not seeing. Energy is invisible, and we don't always see the energetic blueprint of what's unfolding in our lives. We may already be laying the foundation for something really huge to unfold, but if we start projecting time limits on our manifestation, we could halt our progress. If you hired a contractor to build a house, and after 3 months from hire date, you see that only the foundation has been laid and they're starting to work on the framing, are you going to just walk away and quit? Maybe it took some time to get the permits and start the process. You wouldn't say, well, it should be completely done by now. I'm just going to walk away. No, you would realize that the house is in progress. It takes time. What if you're pregnant with a baby and it doesn't come on the due date? Are you going to give up? No, of course not. There's not much you can do, but be patient and wait. With manifestation, everything is happening in the realm of the invisible. So, unlike a house or a baby, there's no physical evidence of your progress. So this requires you to develop greater faith. Faith is key here. At any given moment, you're either living in faith or living in fear. Fear tells you it isn't happening or that it may not happen at all. Fear tells you that you're a failure and it's not working for you. Fear confirms that you just aren't worth it. You will always be a failure in your life and nothing ever works out for you. But faith tells you that all good things come to those who wait. Faith is patience. Faith tells you to keep believing in yourself, to keep moving forward, to keep doing your gratitude practice, to keep seeing your wish fulfilled in your imagination, to keep affirming your worth and your value, to know deep within that you are in process. And it's not your timing, but it's God's timing or nature's timing or divine timing or however you want to look at it. We fail when we give up. We fail when we allow ourselves to resort back to our old stinking thinking. We fail when we tell ourselves that we will never have what we want because we're basically digging up our seeds that we've planted and we're throwing them away. We take away any chance that they will sprout. When you get discouraged and feel it isn't working, instead of giving up, try reminding yourself to do the work, to see your dream or your wish fulfilled in your imagination and keep believing in it. Has it changed? Is it the same? What is your mind telling you about having that thing that you want? Are you living in fear and doubt? Or are you living in faith and hope? It may be that you're spending more time in fear and doubt than you do in faith and hope, and this will hinder your progress. But it won't halt it altogether. You just need to recognize where you're feeding the black wolf, so to speak, in your life, which is the voice of fear, doubt, and negativity. Make some corrections. At any given moment, you're feeding fear or you're feeding faith. So amp up your level of awareness so you can be tuned in to where your thoughts are going on a daily basis. You may have been so deeply programmed to default to the negative that it will take you a little longer to reprogram yourself to be faith-based rather than fear-based. But it's worth the time that it takes to change your default programming. It might be that you were hopeful at the beginning when it was all new and exciting on your manifestation journey because you heard all the stories and some seemed so miraculous. You could see yourself having the level of success in your life that you wanted. You started doing all the right things, but after 3 months, when you weren't having the results that you believed that you should be having by now, you became discouraged. Your discouragement caused your old default programming to kick in. As you told yourself, you don't think that it's working. Why did you ever believe it could work for you? As a result of this invasion of fear and doubt, your energy plummets and you experience feelings of hopelessness and despair. And at this point, you may stop trying. You may stop your morning gratitude practice or your journaling. You may stop trying to catch yourself in negative thinking. Now you may be one of those people who say, well, I tried manifestation once and it didn't work for me. Although we are capable of making some really amazing changes and having huge transformations in only 3 months, this isn't always going to be the case. There's no time limit for manifesting your dream life. You may need to work at it a little longer and stop allowing moments of discouragement to take you out of your practice. Have you heard the story of the man who bought land because he heard there was gold on the property? And every day he would go out and dig for gold. After a period of time, he had been working hard every day, digging for gold, having no results. He just gave up and he sold his land with the belief that there's no gold here. The next owners came in and they kept digging, and they dug only a few more inches and struck gold. So the original owners' hard work was all for nothing. The new owners got to benefit from it. Had he remained faithful and maybe just took a break for a week or so and then went back to it, he would have been the one who struck gold. In our age of instant gratification, we're so used to having what we want now that we don't really learn how to be patient or experience delayed gratification. If you want to be a doctor, for example, I don't care how much you do all the manifestation techniques, you still have to go to medical school and put in the time. You still have to graduate and do your residency. You can't just pray to be a doctor and wake up one morning and be one. So why do you think starting a business would work any differently, or losing 100 pounds? There's a period of time required from the conception of an idea to the fruition of that idea. And the time required is different in every circumstance. The beauty of manifestation practices is that when we set our intention of what we want to create in our life, then we're divinely guided. We're inspired to take action. And so we move forward in the direction of inspired action. You may also be redirected. You might start off along the path of working your own online business, for example, and then be inspired to do something a little differently. And when you make a few tweaks, you have greater results. The most important aspect of the manifestation journey is not what you create, but it's who you become. Who you become is at the root of everything you create in your life. And this is why becoming a higher version of yourself is the first goal of creating the life that you want. It's about becoming the person that you want to be. And if you aren't having the results that you want in your life, perhaps you still haven't become that person. If you're someone who gives up early, who doesn't have patience, who lives from fear rather than faith, then these things are what really need to change first before you can have the results that you want in your life. Another great question to ask is what I want in alignment with who I really am deep down? Sometimes we don't get what we want. We get what we need. Just like Mick Jagger sang in his song, you can't always get what you want. For example, you might lose your cushy, comfortable job and be upset because you just lost your security, when what you need might be something completely different than that job. You might have been experiencing a soul death at that job, selling pieces of your soul bit by bit in exchange for security. Losing that job could be manifestation in action, even if you find yourself going into fear and insecurity as a result. If you could adopt the idea that everything happens for you, not to you, you could look for the light in every situation. Maybe as a result of losing your job, you decide to start your own business, doing something that really uses your talents, skills, and abilities, and is something you really love to do. In the short term, it may look like a crisis, but in the long run, you look back and say, losing my job was the best thing that ever happened to me. That might be true of a divorce too. A woman may lose her husband who leaves her for a younger woman, and it feels like her life's been thrown into pain and chaos. But 2 years later, she wouldn't trade that experience for anything because it required her to stop clinging to the security of a dead-end marriage and start doing what she really wanted to do with her life. She's now self-employed in a fulfilling relationship and living a life that's so much more in alignment with who she really is. But it took 2 years for her to recognize how great that transformation really was. There were many steps that had to happen in those 2 years. She had to become someone different than the woman who clung to the security of an unhappy marriage. As long as we work to get out from underneath the fear that wants to keep us the same, we can allow ourselves to move into a much higher version of ourselves, one that is much happier and more fulfilled and much more on purpose in our life. Say a man decides that he wants to be a multimillionaire, and he begins the manifestation process of focusing on what it would be like to be that multimillionaire. But 3 months later, he doesn't really notice any change. Let's say instead of giving up, he changes his focus a bit and kicks into high gear. And he starts to really express gratitude for what he already has. He begins to live in a state of gratitude. And for every dollar that comes in, he's grateful. Suddenly, it starts to feel like he's living in abundance, even though his income hasn't changed in any significant way. He's now feeling happier, lighter, and being led into more purposeful pursuits. He begins to feel more fulfilled in his life. And as a result of who he's becoming, he's much more attractive to others. And he finds a great relationship with an amazing woman who really loves and supports him. He's also attracting more abundance and opportunities. And a year later, he's not a multimillionaire yet, but he feels so much wealthier than he ever has. It isn't just that he's earning more money, but he has become more of who he was born to be. He's becoming much more authentic and really starting to love his life. Now, say that same man won the lottery within his first 3 months of beginning the manifestation journey. And he says, this stuff really works. But he hasn't really gone through any kind of significant inner transformation. Instead of meeting this amazing woman, he has a series of unfulfilling relationships with women who are more interested in his money than in him. Because he doesn't have to work, he never really finds purpose in life. And his life's pretty miserable. He realizes that those multiple millions didn't bring him what he thought it would. Which life would you choose? The one where you feel wealthy and fulfilled but don't have the multiple millions? Or one where you're handed multiple millions but are miserable and you never have the opportunity to change who you really are? So once again, I remind you that the manifestation journey is more about becoming who you really need to be to have a rich, fulfilling life than to be swimming in money that never requires you to grow, evolve, and become the highest version of yourself. So measure your progress more in who you're becoming than what physical manifestation that you're bringing into your life. I promise you that when you become the person that you're meant to be, the rest will follow. Maybe the man whose life changed so much never became a multimillionaire, but he no longer cared because he had everything he could ever want. And he felt no lack in his life. He was a multimillionaire within himself. And having loads of money was no longer a priority for him. If you're feeling burned out and frustrated with the manifestation process, try focusing more within on who you're becoming. Journal more, meditate more, spend more time with the people that you love, nurture your relationships, be more generous, be more grateful, follow inspiration, and watch where your attention flows. This is the practice that will bring you the greatest results in your life. Never give up on yourself, but do change course a bit if required, to focus more on having a fulfilling, rich life than just being rich. I hope that this has been helpful for you. And today I'm going to offer you my new Wealth Magnet Method ebook that is available for a download. You can go ahead and go in the description below and grab your free copy of the Wealth Magnet Method ebook. Thank you again for being with me today, and I will see you in the next video. Here's to being your best self. Have a great day.